Hello, Sam Denniff here, Business Development Manager in Public Safety and Defence for Coptrz. Today we are going to be taking a look at our public safety drone training programme as part of Coptrz Academy. So what we want to do is look at how police are using drones, how their training operates, and take a run through some of the training that Coptrz have to take your drone team from being a couple of pilots using drones here and there to a full-scale police drone team with a variety of applications using a wide range of skills. So firstly, we'll just go through a bit about us, a bit about Coptrz for those who don't know. So we're the first and only dedicated experts in commercial drone solutions, and we are the only provider of full 360-degree drone solutions in the UK. So what that means is that we, for 6 years now, have provided not only equipment, but software, training, consultancy, payloads, and ongoing support within the drone technology world. And a huge part of that has been within public safety and defence. So police use of drones has grown massively in the past 6 years since we've come into the industry. And Coptrz has put a wide range of focus into that specific area. I myself have worked in the public safety sector for about 4 years, worked with drones for a total of coming up to 7 years now. And throughout that time, I've seen it evolve from maybe one operator in a police force using a drone to gather a bit of evidence, to several forces having full 24/7 drone capability, drones used in all weather conditions, in all environments, and used for a huge range of applications. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is that wider range of drone applications. So firstly, before we get into the specifics of the actual training, what we want to talk about is the problem not having adequate drone cover represents. So a lack of 24-hour drone support is really common within police forces across the UK and within public safety as a whole, just due to the shift-based nature of work, the cost of training, overtime, all that kind of stuff. So police officers can find themselves without required overhead support due to an insufficient amount of trained drone pilots. And real world, all this means is that drone pilots might be off shift, they might be called onto a different job. The majority of them do have dual roles, so they'll work in other roles within policing and be a drone pilot effectively on the side, aside from maybe a drone lead and 1 or 2 pilots. So if they're doing their quote unquote day job, they might not be available for drone operations. So what we want to see is the ability to scale that up to have full-time drone teams within every single police force in the UK that requires it. There's also the fact that this can have a bit of an emotional impact on current drone operators. Now I see and meet a lot of the drone team leads across the UK police, and they're often working very long and very stressful hours. In fact, there's been many times when I've done demonstrations with police, and partway through the demonstration they've had to leave to go and carry out an operation because there's no one else available, even if they're busy, to do that job. And it's the same pressure that's faced all the way across public safety and across the public sector as a whole, but I think it's especially felt in these new emerging technology areas where there isn't the skills and the coverage to operate on a wider scale. So those are the problems, but what about the solutions? And that's what we want to bring to you as part of our training within Coptrz Academy. So we have a range of options in terms of the training. We want to make it flexible. Is a huge point, because not everyone's going to be available for sitting down in a classroom for 4 days and learning all about how to operate a drone. So we do offer the option of doing training online, apart from the parts where you're physically flying the drone, doing the examinations online, booking them in at any time of the day, so you don't have to do exams with a physical examiner. You can use AI-based software to do the exams at any time of the day, or if preferred, we can take a group of people and do a full 4-day course in person, classroom. We do on-site flight assessments, so you don't need to come to us. We're based in Leeds, in West Yorkshire. You don't have to come to us for drone training. We can come to you and assess your pilots on site, and most police forces, fire services, etc. will have a relevant site. So if you're worried you might not have somewhere to fly, let us know. We can have a quick check, and in most cases there's somewhere local for you where we can send an instructor and they can test all your staff in your location. Just makes life a lot easier to get guys trained up without having to take them off shifts and mess around with shift patterns. And then we offer continual CPD. So once your staff have been signed up, they'll have access to Coptrz Academy. And that includes hundreds of CPD courses that will help develop them as both professionals and as individuals. So it's not just the drone pilot side, there's courses there on a huge range of different topics, all things that are going to be relevant and useful to those guys. So they're going to get a lot of value out of doing our drone training. So moving on to our recommended courses, the go-to and the one that I'm sure most people are familiar with at this stage is the GVC, and that is accredited to OFQUAL level 4. So that's your general VLOS certificate. We then have the Intro to Thermography and the Aerial Thermography Imaging Cat 1 or Category 1 course. We then have Pix4D Mapper Essentials, so all about 3D mapping. And then we've got the Chief Pilots course, which is an extension and continuation of the theory learned in the GVC. And what we are going to do now is go into each of those in detail and take a little bit more of a closer look at those courses. So firstly, the GVC. So what the GVC allows a pilot to do, whether that is in policing or in any other walk of life, is fly within 50 meters of uninvolved parties. It permits you to fly in built up and complex areas and is valid for 5 years. And this is operating any drones that you'll see within the public safety world. So the drones your teams have will be things like DJI Mavics, DJI Matrice 300s, Parrot, Anafis. All that kind of class of drone are covered within the GVC. And I imagine that most police forces, most people watching this, will have someone within the organisation that already has a GVC. It's more about extending that and bringing more pilots in that have that capability. Even if they're not full-time pilots, there should be more people within different teams within policing that have the drone pilot capability. The benefits of doing it from Coptrz are firstly that it's OFQUAL 4 registered, so you do actually get a qualification. The GVC in itself is it's kind of like a certification, so it's not a qualification. And OFQUAL allows it to be a proper qualification, so it can be put down as continued professional development within the policing world. As I stated, we also offer online and classroom training. We offer on-site flight assessments, so we can make it as flexible as possible for police forces to use. And also, if you're looking at booking multiple team members on, we do run some pretty extensive discounts on the GVC for public safety bodies who are looking to train up large amounts of staff. If you look at the website and see that it costs X amount per person, don't just times that by 10 or 15 or 20. Let me know. We can take a look at where you want to train the staff, how many you've got to train, and we can put something together that's specific for your force. We've then got the Introduction to Thermography. Now, this is a sort of a quick overview of aerial thermography with some basic thermography theory, a little bit of basic thermal science, camera considerations, and data collection. So this is taking a look at one of the most commonly used sensors with the range of drones used in public safety, and one of the ones that's used to quite a basic standard, because it is a bit more complex than people give it credit for. So luckily, many of the drones that come out at the moment have lots of smart features which allow the thermal camera to auto adjust, which makes life a lot easier. But there's still plenty of stuff in the settings which can be changed to get much better data. So Intro to Thermography can take you through nice and quickly and easily some top tips and tricks to get you through using the thermal cameras that are no doubt built into the drones that you're using. We've then got Pix4D Mapper, Pix4D Essentials course. So what this does is takes you through one of the most commonly used 3D and 2D mapping softwares currently on the market. And Pix4D is being used by a handful of police forces, not a huge amount currently. It's much more prevalent in the survey world and in the inspection world than it is in public safety. However, it's certainly picking up steam, being used in stuff like RTA reports, being used at crime scene investigation, evidence collection and gathering, and that's 2D and 3D maps and models. So what this course does is takes you through the basic specs of what Pix4D can do. It shows you how to create a model and how to post-process that and use it, export it and use it then for reports. So it's pretty basic stuff. Again, it is the essentials of Pix4D. It's going to get you going with the software. There'll still be a great deal more to learn from there. But if you approach something like Pix4D Mapper from a cold start, it's going to be very hard to get going and very hard to start using it. This just gives you a little bit of a boost. So you can start using the software with a little bit of background knowledge. We've then got more on the thermal imaging, and the previous course was just an introduction. This is much more of a detailed course. So Aerial Thermal Imaging Category 1 course, it's a fully accredited thermal imaging course. There are in total 7 modules within the Aerial Thermal Imaging course. So you've got applications of drone thermal imaging, you've got a history of drone thermal imaging, you've got the fundamentals, heat transfer, emissivity, reflectivity and reflection, reflected apparent temperature and thermal payload setup. And as you can tell from those, there is quite a lot of detail to go into on thermal imaging. And it's something where it may look simple, but actually with the correct training, the quality of data you can collect is massively boosted. And on stuff like search and rescue missions, vulnerable missing person searches, identifying and tracking targets, all that kind of stuff, having good thermal imaging capability is something that I think is maybe lacking a bit in the public safety industry, and those thermal sensors are maybe taken for granted. A course like this is going to allow some really high quality data to be collected from what at this stage are really, really high powered thermal cameras that these drones you guys are operating tend to have. And it's making sure you're getting the most out of the money you've already spent on the kit, because the last thing you want to do is spend thousands of pounds on a drone and not be able to understand and interpret the data that you are collecting from that drone. And then finally we have the OFQUAL Level 5 Chief Pilots course. So this, as I mentioned earlier, is an extension of our GVC OFQUAL Level 4 course. And this is aimed at a drone lead, a chief pilot within a police force, a fire service, any sort of organisation. Specifically within police, what it allows a drone lead to do is understand the detail around ops management, ops safety case planning, human factors and airmanship. So it's a lot more safety based. It's what some people might call the boring stuff, but it is the essential stuff as well. It's stuff that needs to be known to conduct risk assessments, to do hazard analysis, put in suitable control measures, put in risk planning and incident response, all those kind of areas which a good drone lead will have in place. As I said, you will have learned parts of this within the GVC. This isn't essential for flying and operating a drone, but it is essential for a drone lead to understand what their pilots are doing day in, day out, and to be accountable and responsible for how their drone's being operated. Looking at stuff like logging within error management systems, the person that then has to report to the CAA or AAIB or whoever else in terms of any issues they have with the drones. This course can really help with that. And because it's all theoretical, again, the entire thing can be done remotely. So within the packages of training that we do on the GVC, we recommend and normally build in a seat on a chief pilot's course. So if a police force has 10 pilots, for example, one of those will be put through the chief pilot's course as part of their GVC training. So they're the drone lead, they're the accountable manager, and they're slightly upskilled from the rest of their pilots. Okay, so thank you very much for listening on this run through of our drone training for police within Coptrz Academy. If there are any questions on anything we've run through today, please do get in touch with me. My contact info is here on the final slide. And my email address is sam.denniff@coptrz.com. As I said, if there is interest in any of our training, please do get in touch. We can pull together specific bespoke packages for organisations. We're not expecting to book 1s and 2s in terms of pilots within a police force. We're more than happy to take on a wide range of staff, get them all trained up with the specific skills they need to get them fully operational. So please do get in touch if you've got any further questions, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.